Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a brand new speed build, this time doing, yes, another suburban build. You know what, I don't even know why I say that, because obviously the majority of my builds are suburban builds at the moment. I think I've just got into a habit of saying it, and that's that. But anyway, I'm back. I was so ill this week, and you'll probably still hear it in my voice. I'm not fully recovered yet. So much so, I think I'm probably going to have to take plenty of breaks throughout this voiceover just to try and get through it. But I did actually have this video ready to go again last night, and I thought I'm just going to sleep on it one more night and just see if I can manage to get through. So I just want to apologise in advance for anyone who's like, oh my gosh, have you heard her voice? She sounds like an old man. Because I am rocking the old man voice at the moment, and there's just nothing I can do about it. It's just one of them things. So yes, thank you so much for all your lovely comments and all your fantastic feedback on my last video. I really appreciate it. And trust me, whilst I've been feeling incredibly sorry for myself this week, your comments have absolutely made my day. They always do, and I really appreciate it. And I have to say that this week's been a struggle, to say the least. I mean, if there was a way that I could have laid down with my desktop and built in The Sims, I probably would have done it. I think Monday night, or it might have been Tuesday night, I came to do some building and I literally just had my head on my desk at some points. But I'm so happy building at the moment, and I just want to kind of make the most of that time. And I think that's why I'm so disappointed I'm ill when I am, because it's right in the middle of me being, incredibly enthusiastic about building again. And I feel like it's been a really long time since I felt this way. And I think it reflects in the builds that I do as well, because, when my heart's in it and I'm excited to do building, I feel like I do my best, like anybody, I suppose. But yes, before I witter on anymore, this is Robin Lane. It's a 6-bed, 3-bathroom build on a 40 by 40 lot in Brindleton Bay. And this one again did have like 3 different locations that I built on before I settled where I am. That seems to be like a running theme at the moment. Third time lucky for different lots that I'm building on. But I'm currently building on the 64 by 64 lot, and I think after I'd got so far, I kind of felt like I wanted to see what this house looked like on a smaller lot, and I'm really glad that I did, because I just felt that I wanted to build something that was really quite cozy, like a really cozy home that was very kind of decorated in a lot of lush landscaping, and I just didn't feel like I could really achieve what I wanted to do on this lot. I just felt like it was too big. So I did go ahead and move it to the 40 by 40 lot, which is pretty much, it looks exactly the same, it's just smaller. And that's where I continue to finish the build. But with this particular build, I wanted it to be really detailed on the exterior. I mean, this exterior is completely over the top. I've added so much stuff in, from different wallpapers, different windows, pillars, you name it. There's just a lot going on. And that was purely my aim, really. I wanted something that just looked very detailed and really quite cozy and sort of charming, if anything. I wanted this to look like quite a charming house. But yeah, I'd say the majority of the build this time was spent literally just on the exterior and just putting in all the final details. Now, the roof on this build drove me nuts, because I just couldn't, there was something about it that I just couldn't I wasn't happy with. I just didn't like the way that it looked. I hadn't roofed it wrong, but it just didn't look quite right on the eyes. So I played around a lot with the roof during the building of this build, and then I think it was actually at the very end, when I'd finished, that I actually decided to remove the entire roof and just start again and see if I could kind of come up with something that just looked a little bit more pleasing on the eye. So I feel like I got there in the end, but yeah, it kind of drove me a bit mad. Now, the landscaping on the front of this house I thought I'd go for something a bit different, and I'd probably to be fair, it's probably not that different, really. But I was trying to do something a little bit more decorative with the fencing. So I always do things that are a little bit different with the fencing anyway. And I layer fences, I add bushes over fences. Like, I never just have a bog standard fence. So here you can see that I blew up the smaller little kind of rectangular bushes to kind of add this effect to the outside of the actual bush fence, you know what I mean. But the idea for that came because when I do the school run every day, we walk past obviously many houses, and there's this particular house where the particular house is kind of like surrounded by this huge hedge, and it's all around the front and the sides of the house. But it's manicured to within an inch of its life, to the point where it kind of looks like it's artificial. It makes you want to cross the road and go and just touch it to see if it's actually real. Like, the person that looks after this garden spends a lot of time making sure it's absolutely just beautiful, and it's a work of art, in my opinion. So I think that kind of bedded into my mind somewhere along the week, and I kind of thought, I'll do something a little bit different with the hedges in this next build. So that's where that came from. But yeah, I'd say the outside of this kind of build is quite small, really, because like I say, I moved it to the 40 by 40 lot, and I didn't really have a lot of space to play with. But I did go ahead as usual and just add in all the normal kind of skill building items, from swings to the barbecue area, as well as planters, chess table. I always try and add in, you know, lots of little bits and bobs like that, just so that your Sims can really enjoy the outside and spend meaningful time out there. But this particular seating area was, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just going to be honest. And I do say this often because it often happens, is when I build, I just sort of experiment, I'd say is probably the right word. And, you know, I just mess around with different styles and just see what works, what doesn't. Sometimes some of these creative things I do don't work, you know, and that's okay, because that's all part of the process and all part of the fun. But I did quite like the way that it turned out in the end. It looked quite cute and sort of cozy. But the front of this house, again, obviously, just a lot of really nice lush landscaping. I really wanted to frame this house with a lot of trees and make it look just very kind of well established. And yeah, I really quite like the way the exterior of this house turned out. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you for all your comments again this week. I've had a few comments coming in sort of requesting certain things, whether it's builds or tutorials. One of the things that was requested was a landscaping tutorial. Now, tutorials aren't something I've ever really thought about doing before on my channel, because in all honesty, when I look at building, I don't see myself as somebody who is, you know, an amazingly brilliant builder. I just feel like, you know, I'm somebody that just builds houses and just is creative as I can be in the game, and that's that. I don't feel like I can speak from like a professional capacity, if you like. But certainly, if it's something that I have noted down, it's something that I might do in the future as a sort of like tips and tricks video, I think is probably the best way for me to put it, because it's really quite hard to describe how I do my landscaping, because a lot of the time, like I say, none of it's really planned. It sort of happens as I build. It's a process I can't really explain. However, there are certain things that you can do that can help, you know. Certainly, I think I may have said in the last video, one of the things or questions that I was asked quite a lot was, how do you manage to do your terrain painting so smooth? Now, a good tip for that is that there is a shader bar at the bottom of the terrain tool, and you can slide it up and down, which will change the intensity of the terrain. And I find that if you put it on a much sort of softer setting, it gives you a little bit more flexibility to sort of move around and create the shape that you really want to create. But that's just a typical example of, you know, sort of the tips that I might be able to give you that would help, you know, towards kind of creating or building better, you know. So I have written it down in my little book, and I do appreciate your suggestions. While certainly I can't always fulfill every single suggestion, I do have this massive book of ideas which I always write stuff down in. So certainly, you know, I will definitely write those down and consider doing sort of things like that, if that makes sense. So just coming back to the build, because obviously I'm working on the interior upstairs at the moment. There are 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms in this build. Now, the 6th bedroom isn't actually shown because it's a tiny, tiny bedroom, which is actually that little yellow room that you can see at the moment, just at the side of this one. And that was actually a nursery, which I don't think I have done a nursery in a very, very long time, but it was this tiny little room, and I thought I can either change it into a study or I can make it into a nursery, and so I made it into a nursery. But because the room is so tiny, it wasn't really that, there wasn't really much point, there wasn't a lot in there, so I didn't actually include it in. But yes, there is a 6th bedroom within this build. But yeah, so there's 2 double bedrooms, and they are both very kind of pink themed. I probably didn't think that through very well, but one is supposed to be, I think the very first one I did was more of a master bedroom, and the second one was probably aimed towards more of a teenage girl. But there was a little boy's room, and then there was a toddler girl's room, as well as this kind of very autumn themed bedroom, which probably doesn't really go with the rest of the build. But my thought process for these bedrooms was that I was going to make them individual. I didn't want it to be a running theme throughout the house. I want this to be a huge family home, so we're going to have lots of different personalities and lots of different age groups in this house. And so yeah, that was my thought process. But this is just the kitchen at the moment, and this flooring in this kitchen, this lino sort of squared flooring, I only just discovered it the other day, and apparently it's from the bowling stuff pack. Now, I feel like every single time I come to play The Sims, I literally discover new items, and I think it's because I took such a large amount of time away from The Sims when they released several sort of game packs and stuff packs at the same time that I never really managed to fully explore those packs. But I enjoy it even more because, you know, finding things like that in the game is, you know, it's exciting. It's like Christmas. No, it's not. But anyway. So yeah, this is just probably a formal dining room that I'm just finishing off here. And I seem to get to the very, very end of completing this room before I decide that actually I just don't like it. It was too dark. I think when I zoomed out of the house, I realised that this room just didn't really sort of fit very well. So I did go up ahead and change it all up. But this is the huge, and this is a huge living area. And I really liked this room, although I would say it was probably very neutral. It could have probably done with a little bit more colour, and I did actually add in some red accent walls, but then I decided to take them away because I thought, you know what, let's just keep it kind of like as a warm, creamy brown sort of room. But I kind of went for this animal theme with this room, so lots of dark browns, lots of dark woods and tones, and I really, really liked it. I just felt like it kind of had a lot of class in it, and it would be a really nice family space. This is probably I think this is the only main big living area in this house. The second reception room is kind of like the standard kids room that I tend to do in the downstairs of most of my builds. But this room was definitely a good all-rounder. I managed to fit a bar in, a piano, you know, the TV, bookcases. There's a big fireplace you can sit in front of, and it just felt really, really warm, like a really cozy, living room, and I kind of like the theme. I felt like this was probably something, like the design of it and the woods that we use is something that I would probably quite like in real life as well. So yeah, it was kind of dramatic, and I enjoyed doing this living room very much. But yeah, this is the downstairs kind of standard kids room that I seem to be putting in a lot of my family homes at the moment. I do think they're a good idea, to be honest. I just think because children are always working on skill building, whether they're toddlers or children, that rooms like this come in quite handy. So I always try and put in like a fun family room. So the closer and closer we get towards the end of this video, the more I can feel that I'm starting to lose my voice. But hopefully we've only got another room after this one to go, so I can make it towards the end of this voiceover. But the last room in this house that I did was the office, and I really like this office. It felt kind of... My husband, he actually works from home, and we were actually discussing the other day about potentially building sort of an outhouse external office in the back of our garden, and just a place where he can quietly work, because obviously having 4 children, when they get home from school, the house is a noisy place. So it's kind of been in my mind a little bit about creating kind of office spaces, and this room I felt just was very kind of prestigious. It felt very grand, like the person who owned this office was probably the breadwinner in the house, and that they were maybe a very successful businessman. That was what my thought process was anyway. So I did actually go ahead and use quite a few items from the Get to Work expansion, and I really, really love these black cabinets because they have that kind of officey feel, which is obviously what they were designed for. But I hope you're all having a fantastic week. I'm super excited because it's Friday, and my eldest actually breaks up for the 6 to 7 week school holidays, UK school holidays, and my other 2 actually break up on Tuesday, so I'm really looking forward to having them all home. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please feel free to give me a big thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed already, it would be great to have you stick around for more. But I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Here's hoping I recover all for the next voiceover. Take care, guys. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.